Alright guys, welcome to part 13, I think. Yeah, 13. So in this one, we're kind of going to be going over filling in the second fender and the front bumper. The passenger fender is all done, just needs primer, but we're going to deal with that all in one shot because it's going to be covered for the most time, so I'm not worried about, contaminations or whatever. There's my dog just sunbathing. But yeah, so let me show you kind of like you're going to see a bunch of time lapses in this video because I filmed all those while we were working prior to filming this. So if it's out of order, in between time lapses, I'll mention what they are. But yeah, so let me start with this fender. Okay, so you can see this fender right here. What we did is I cut that whole section out and I filled this whole thing with foam. This is like 2-part foam. You just kind of mix the 2 parts together. It's kind of used for installation on boats and whatnot, but we use it to model with because it sands super easily. And then what we did here, you guys will see in the time lapse, we cut everything out on the inside. There's still all that crap that we got cut out, but that's for later because that stuff's itchy. So you can see all this stuff right here is the jointing compound. So I gotta let that cure because I put a lot of it and I went very heavy on it. So I'm gonna let that cure in the sun today, and like this I can come in and shape this. I can come in and shape all this because the goal right now is to lock the camera real quick. There you go. The goal right now is to get this whole upper edge bonded in, molded in, so it looks like the part, because you can see right here where I cut. Right here is one edge, and right here is another edge underneath of. That's the actual body coming down, and that's where the bumper would have bolted on. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a bumper that starts from here, wraps all the way around the top, and stops right there as well. And then like this, I'm gonna have a diffused a splitter that comes from the bottom and bolts upwards. And like this, if anything happens to the splitter or whatever, we don't have to cut this whole thing because this whole thing's gonna be bonded in. So yeah, there's that finished fender. These are all points. I took 6-inch points all along the top half. So you can see I transfer them here too. So like this, I kind of know, and I put little scribe marks in the foam. See right there, right there, right there, right there. So I kind of know the radius of it. So a quick pause from all the time lapses. But what I'm doing right now is I drilled a hole and I put a screw in here for just kind of like roughly where the center line is. So what I'm gonna be doing is I have this fishing line and this is the best way. Like, I'm thinking about seeing if I could cover it in paint so I could just drop it here. Like you can see, I could adjust this line and there's no slack in this. So if you pull it tight, it's gonna be a perfect straight line every single time. So what I'm gonna do now is figure out the distance I want from here to here, line it out, and then do the same thing on that side, and I'll have a perfectly straight, identical line. I could go ahead and cut that. As you guys saw, I cleared out more at the bottom. I put one layer here. This is gonna require multiple layers, so I just did the top coat first. That I have to figure out how much I need to sand before I go ahead and cover it. And I started mocking up the bottom half. So this is just like a rough shape. I'm probably gonna radius all the corners. I painted it black, and that's gonna tuck up underneath, and I just want to get a visual of how that bumper is gonna look full. So that's why I use the cardboard from the cabinet to make this. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and try and figure out that line situation. Rough and not good, but again, this is just the rough version, just to kind of get the visual idea of what's gonna come to reality, put it that way. There it is. So I know it looks weird because it's not tucked up all the way. That's still from the old design, but like, so the idea is, you see this front lip, it's gonna follow the contour of the bumper, right? So it's gonna be maybe sticking out an extra inch or two from that shape. So it's gonna be protruding out a bit more. Those posts, they're gonna be like the same. Let me show you right here. So this is kind of like the idea of this. This is gonna come. Let me forget. I don't know why it's. There you go. So you see this right here. This is gonna come up and have this kind of like the 4 GTs have in the front. That little curve up here. So that's gonna be doing the exact same thing, but inwards more. So those posts, I just imagine those posts carved out the same shape as this in the middle, just for support. The lip, I'm thinking about having it come up all the way so I could add filler pieces. So a piece that would bolt onto here and bolt onto here, and it would create that, like that canard, kind of like the Z06 has from the what is it, C7s. So yeah, and again, this is just a rough, very rough shape, so don't judge. So the thing is I don't know how. It might be an open design, or I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do behind there, or I might just have a mesh that connects all those, but we'll see. That's when we get towards the end, we'll figure it out. Because worst comes to worst, I could always build a fiberglass, like a fender well, but like imagine a bumper well. So it'll be a fiberglass shield, but it would just be, the mesh would be in the middle, and the fiberglass would be like a ring around, so I could just bolt it up against, so nothing goes towards the engine bay or the radiator or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of like the idea. I did cut some of that bumper back. It's still rough. I still gotta sand it in, but it's slowly slowly taking shape. It's kind of difficult because I wish I had this side done first, but I have to go in steps. So like now that that's drying, I'm working on the front bumper. When the front bumper, I cut all this and I fill it up with the filler, then I gotta go on this. So it's like the back and forth game. But I like the progress so far. It's just I gotta figure out. I gotta do one half and then copy on this. I think tomorrow's plan, we'll see if it makes it in this video or not, but tomorrow's plan is to get this half sanded in and designed and all the good stuff. Alright, so before I get into the whole time-lapse thing again, what I'm doing right now is, you see this edge right here? I'm gonna locate it all the way along, and I think I have some sheet metal that I could like jam in between and kind of leave it there. So like this, I'm working it to this line, so when I make the part ends there, and then I could bond it to the car later on. But for right now, I want to make a bumper that follows the original car line, so it tucks in here nicely. So all I gotta do is put in a nice little strip of fiberglass, and it's, you know, it's gonna be bonded into with the car. But if I leave it, if I don't find this edge, I'm gonna have to trim in the future and try to adjust the size of the actual fiberglass bumper later on, and I don't feel like doing that. So do the work now to save time later. Alright, so here's kind of what I'm doing. So you see I added this wall right here. It doesn't go all the way there and it doesn't go all the way there. I really don't care. That's a little more important than this bottom half. But what I'm gonna do right now, I sanded all the high spots. I'm gonna go ahead and take the filler and just do a nice thin layer along the whole thing, around the front lip, and just I'm gonna work this section right here. So when this section is done, I can make a cardboard or a tape or paper trace of this surface, flip it over, so now I have two halves identical. Then I'm gonna go ahead and work these points and then the bottom section. So let's just see how this goes. And I'm gonna start an Instagram poll because I still don't know the shape, like the design of the front splitter. I don't know if I should just do it, have it come out straight and then like a radius. I don't know if I should have it come out straight and match the contour of the front bumpers. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. So I didn't film too much on this whole front end because I was honestly really frustrated and I wanted to throw my phone against the car. So what I had to do, I couldn't get the body line. A bee just freaking crashed into the car. Look at that. You good there, buddy? But yeah, so I used that to find the true center of this point right here. Then I had to make a tape template, so that I taped this whole thing over from this headlight to this headlight, and then I split it in half, and it lined up perfectly. That side lined up perfectly with this side, and that gave me the true middle of the middle section right here. Then I just lined up these 2 points with down here, and it gave me a nice straight line. And then I used, you can see the fishing line. So I didn't want to take off this little metal bridge I built. So I used fishing line to get me a nice straight line. You know, you tape it down, you make it a little tight, and I was off with my center line. And that template right there is from here to this corner, and I was having issues because this corner looks like it needed a lot more. So now with a real center line, I only need a little bit more added to this corner. So that's what I've been doing now. I've just been adding filler to this corner to bring up the edge a little bit. Next, I gotta shape this whole section right here to make it look good. But I've been working on this, so it's kind of hard because it's all white there. Zooms in better. Damn, I think that bee just died. But whatever. So you can see, I just added filler now to all the little thin holes and low spots. I gotta sand more on the inside, but you guys can see kind of like the design of the front bumper. So there's a good shot of it. That surface is almost done. I gotta play around with this area because this whole thing from here to like around here is nice and smooth and like flat, but just down here there's a little wonky thing. So I just gotta fix that. But yeah, I'm actually really happy on the way this is turning out. I think I'm gonna end this video here because it's probably really long by this point, and it just, the front bumper is not hard, but it is difficult because I don't have a true center line. Like if I had an actual center line, I could have made it a lot easier and I would have had no problems. But because I'm fighting on finding that center line, well, I found it now, but because I was fighting it, like I was building the bumper kind of just visually on like where the center line would be. But now that I have it drawn out, it should just be super straightforward to like just finish one half and then flip it over. So the next video, hopefully that bumper is done and I could worry about the fender, because within 30 days I want to get this whole front end mocked up, because only thing I gotta do left, the hood, I'm gonna leave for now because I might have to buy a hood. I'm not sure yet, but the only thing I really have to do is the front bumper and the driver fender, because everything else, let me show you guys a little walk around the car before I end this video. So this fender just needs very little like filler work on the bottom edges, but that's minute. All this, I'm gonna prime everything when all this is set up, because I still gotta grind to bond the bumper in. So all this is good to go into primer. This I'm gonna have to sand off before I put into primer. But the only thing the rear fenders need, so I left, you can see right here, that's just dirt, not rust, don't worry. So I left this cut line here with, that's the original body. You can see the original fender there and everything. So the reason I left all that, because I'm thinking of doing kind of a diffuser that comes from the bottom and connects there. So that's why I didn't want to cut anything before I went ahead and figured out exactly what I want. This is the rear bumper. It's sagging down because it's only zip tied, so don't worry about the gap lines, because when I bond it, it's all going to be sitting nice and up and flush. But the rear bumper, we ended up finding somebody that had it, and the only thing we might do is I might go ahead and add I was thinking about like a wicker bill, like so adding a couple rib nuts here, and here, and having a wicker bill that I could slide up just to give it a little more like a aggressive look, or I'm gonna do a big wing. I'm not sure yet. So that's kind of like the idea for the rear bumper. Same thing on this fender. These were left alone down there. The doors, they're all good. The only thing is, I believe this door needed to be re-glued on the bottom. The fiberglass is separating, but that's not a big deal. And then this fender needs to be done. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps. And like always, if you have any questions or any suggestions on videos or anything that you want to see, just drop them in the description below and I'll make them. I have no problem with that. I'll see you guys in the next one.